If it wasn't for the coverage of the Ottawa protests going on right now, this right here would be the biggest, unquestionably, the biggest fabrication of the media, because where the fuck did this come from? Okay. Oh, Ron DeSantis and Trump aren't getting along. Like, this is high school, okay, and people are just making up rumors. Like, I don't know where this comes from. I don't know where this stems from, but it's all a distraction, okay? Oh, look at that. The two leading voices in the Republican movement are bickering. Oh, those dirty Republicans can't get along. And meanwhile, you got the squad and the establishment, old deteriorating Democrat class, just constantly fucking squabbling at every given moment. Let's see. See which way the wind is blowing today and see what Joe Manchin is going to decide to do with the Democratic Party. But no. The real division is happening within the Republican Party. Fuck off. Okay, so I just want to know, just for completion's sake, like, what the fuck? What's this opinion here? But DeSantis is talking about it, and he's just as dumbfounded as everybody else. Now, Ron DeSantis responded to rumors that he and former President Donald Trump are embroiled in a behind-the-scenes feud, saying such reports and suggestions are total bunk. Donald Trump's a friend of mine. He's proud when people do well, and it's not just me, but obviously he's a Florida resident. He's a Florida man, in fact. Orange Florida man. Orange man? Yeah, sure. And he appreciates the job that we've done. The Republican governor told Fox News on Tuesday interview from Tallahassee. He told me many times, not only with the helping of, with the election, but just how we've govern the state. Yeah, really wish more states would do as much. There have been speculation that DeSantis, who is popular among Trump voter base, the more fucking smooth brain types, or he wouldn't have any of the baggage of Trump. But we need not drag that up again and again. They'll just call him a Nazi like they did with Trump, okay? It doesn't matter. Our man bad. Could potentially run for president in 2024. No, I want him to run for president. You're just missing that little prefix on there, vice, okay? And then run for president in 2028. Full stop, full president, okay? Just set everybody up in place. But again, they've been over that a lot. In previous interviews, the governor has demurred on the possibility, and that he's also not commented extensively on whether he would run as Trump's vice presidential candidate if the former president runs in 2024. You haven't heard anything of him specifically talk about that, other than Trump's couple of winks and nods, like, well, if I run again in 2024, here's my platform. And I think Pence is kind of stupid, he's a nice guy and all that stuff. He likes to zap people. I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but if you want to introduce electricity, that's for you to do, Mike. But you were good there for a while, but I would have liked for you to go a little bit further. You didn't want to go that far, but hey, I could be looking elsewhere for other people on the ticket, okay? Trump wants to see Republicans doing well, DeSantis added on Tuesday's interview, and I think when the media is trying to act like he's upset at me for doing well, I think that's total bunk, and I think they're just making it up. It's almost like it's a distraction because something major was coming down the pipeline, as you can see here. Hunter Biden tried to broker a $120 million oil deal between Chinese energy firm now under U.S. sanctions and former Kazakhstan Prime Minister, who has been accused of treason in hopes of pocketing a fortune. Laptop emails reveal. Yeah, it's almost like it's just a big distraction. It's kind of like, oh, look what's happening over there. Meanwhile, they're just, Democrats are out there trying to embezzle shit, or at least just cover up old attempts to do some embezzling. But imagine that, another story from the Hunter Biden laptop. Who could have possibly seen this coming? It's almost like there was thousands of emails and, oh man, Hunter Biden, but isn't there a guy who's in the middle of that one picture that's right there that looks awfully familiar? Actually, you wouldn't recognize him because we haven't really been seeing much of him lately, now have we? Hunter Biden was working with a Chinese oil company in Kazakhstan. Okay, that's 6 degrees of separation here. That is now under U.S. sanctions, and a former Kazakh prime minister, now accused of treason, to broker a lucrative pipeline deal, the Daily Mail can reveal. Emails obtained by the Daily Mail show the president's son teamed up with the former Kazakh prime minister, Karim Masimov. Sounds Russian. Okay, so you got Russians and Chinese and Kazakhstan, and then you got energy pipelines that are fine to operate in the Middle East, but not in North America. But okay, cool. But speaking specifically of Masimov, the former prime minister is now facing charges of high treason to pull off a $120 million pipeline deal after similar ventures had faced opposition from Western energy firms. There's no indication Masimov's charges are connected to Hunter's pipeline pipeline deal right now. Given enough time, we'll let other people do some sleuthing through some emails. One of Hunter's proposed Kazakh energy deals involved the State China National Offshore Oil Corporation, Sinuk, one of China's biggest oil firms. The company was sanctioned in 2020 and again last year for alleged involvement in the Chinese government's coercive behavior in the South China Sea. So again, even as a distraction specifically, those sanctions were in 2020. Who was president in 2020? Not the big guy. A guy, just not the big guy. Listen, dude, just shave that hair off. That shit ain't fooling anybody. Emails from Hunter's abandoned laptop show he traveled to Beijing and Kazakhstan to forge a blockbuster oil deal between the two countries in 2014 and 15. Hunter brokered the deal on behalf of Ukrainian gas firm Burisma, on whose board he sat. Okay, cool. So you got Ukrainians. That's why they're trying to saber rattle over there, because you got Russians, you got Ukrainians, you got Kazakhstanis, you got Chinese, obviously. His role in the firm, owned by the oligarch accused of corruption, is already deeply controversial. But the involvement in Hunter's Chinese business partners with Burisma adds a new and troubling dimension to his dealings in Eastern Europe, indicating that he was working on a deal that could directly further the energy interests of the Chinese government while hoping to collect millions of dollars for himself. Sinuk had been trying for years to break into the Kazakh energy market and strategically advantageous source of oil and gas for China, previously dubbed the Second Middle East by the chief financial officer. The Chinese oil giant tried to buy $615 million piece of Kazakh Northern Caspian Sea project from a unit of British gas corporation BG Group in 2003, but was blocked by the group of Western companies including ExxonMobil, Royal Dutch Shell, and Total Fina Elf. Okay, one of those names is not like the other. Kazakh and Chinese governments have also talked for years about building a pipeline between the two countries. The previous 1997 agreement stalled over cost worries, but the appetite for massive infrastructure projects was rekindled with China's expansionist Belt and Road Initiative in 2013, which has been well underway for a very long time. So when one of Hunter's Chinese business partners emailed him in April of 2014 saying Sinuk wanted to work with them, he saw dollar signs. That in a lot of Coke or maybe Parmesan on the floor. Can't quite tell. There's the redacted email. I don't know why you'd redact any of that, but whatever. Okay, so an April 2014 email shows Hunter's Chinese business partner at Bohai contacted him, and Devin Archer, the previously established figure in this entire saga, to Sinuk was interested in working with Burisma. Months later, an email to Burisma executive Vladim Poharsky. Hunter wrote that one of the principal reasons for his 2014 meeting in Beijing was to discuss possible cooperation with you guys are leaving out an O, CNOOC, China and Burisma. I had a meeting with Mr. Lu Weizhong, the general manager of Sinuk Gas and Power Group, wrote Zibin Liu, the associate at Bohai, a Chinese investment firm Hunter partnered with. Mr. Liu informed us that as the third largest LNG liquid natural gas purchaser in the world, Sinuk Gas and Power are making large cross-border investments. Liu said Sinuk was looking to fund projects in countries with a friendly political environment. Strange topic to bring up with the son of the current vice president. At the time, current vice president. Or if you listen to some reports, who's really running the White House? Devin Archer, Hunter's longtime friend and business partner, who had also had a Burisma board position, wrote to Hunter excited that the offer could make them rich. Oh, really? Yeah, but what about the company? What about the well-being of the company? What about that? Thought you were all about the company. If we can connect the dots here between CNOOC and Burisma, we can do only that forever. Let's brainstorm. All right, thinking the same thing, fraught with many landmines, but less than a month later, Hunter replied. Less than a month later, he was on a plane to Beijing and Bohai board meeting and introductions to Sinuk executives. Let's just skip ahead because there's a whole bunch of other boring stuff. But obviously, this just further interlinks Burisma, Hunter, Archer, and Kazakh government, obviously, because of course. U.S. Commerce Department claimed CNOOC had repeatedly harassed and threatened offshore oil and gas exploration and extraction, in the South China Sea with the goal of driving up the political risk for interested foreign partners, including Vietnam. The State Department's sanctions, only covered the company's activity in the South China Sea, not their other global operations. Interesting. After teeing up their deal with the Chinese, Devon wrote to Vadim that they had secured a meeting with the Kazakh Prime Minister Masimov, good spelling, dude, on June 2nd, 2014. Everything will revolve around the meeting and the subject, with securing the highest quality proven reserve fields in Kazakhstan, he said. Additional concepts for cooperation will be discussed as well. An April 2015 email between Hunter and the Chinese Bohai business partners also mentioned Project Carmen in Kazakhstan with a target investment of 120 million, including 40 million fronted by the Chinese. It is unclear from Hunter's emails whether they pulled the deal off. That's probably on a different laptop. Though Hunter and his family received at least $31 million in total from Bohari's partnership and other deals with the Chinese, and paid more than $83,000 a month for his Burisma board seat, long since established. Facts from previous findings from the laptop. The Senator Chuck Grassley told Fox News in January that obtaining Hunter's heavily redacted travel records held by the USSS, United States State Department, was like pulling teeth, and that he can't draw any other conclusions than the agency is covering for the president's son. Now, what could they possibly be covering, and why would everything be so heavily redacted? I don't know. It's almost like there's something to be found there. Maybe, Chuck, you should do a little bit more digging, my dude. But before we wrap up, just a little bit of wrapping up on this one. In April 2015, Hunter invited 3 Kazakh businessmen, as well as a Russian billionaire and a corrupt former Moscow mayor, to dinner at the DC cafe with his father when Joe Biden was vice president, sparking one of the string of scandals over Hunter using access to his father to further his commercial ventures. Well, I was just joking that dude had a Russian-sounding last name, ergo enter the Russians, but there we go. The reason for the dinner is ostensibly to discuss food security. Instead of being a corrupt politician, you should have been a comedian. He told one guest in the email, "Dad will be there, but keep that between us for now. Oh yeah, he'll just pop in like one of the many hair plugs in this fucking old fizzled dome." Among the Kazakh invitees was Mark Holtzman, oy vey, the chairman of the former Soviet Republic's largest bank, Kazkommertsbank. Yes. The morning of the meeting, Archer was invited to a small private breakfast with Masimov at his Willard Hotel suite. Very adorable. There are several matters the Prime Minister is eager to discuss with you, and he will be grateful for the opportunity to spend quality time together. Aw, it sounds adorable. Will there be a lot of hand-holding and eye-gazing? Masimov's aide wrote to Archer, an unverified photograph, posted on Kazakhstani anti-corruption website in 2019 show Masimov, oligarch Keniz Rashkev, Hunter, and Joe Biden smiling together. Rashkev is not accused of any wrongdoing. For now. But yeah, the more this laptop, which is astounding, it's been under control, and there's been an open investigation since the end of 2019 by the FBI, and all of these revelations 3 years later continue to come out only when it's investigated by other branches of the government. Just really does boggle the mind why it takes so long for all of this stuff to come out, now doesn't it? Enjoy your guys' evening, contemplate some of this corruption that's going on in the government, and then just wonder, just for a moment, why there's just all these tertiary subjects and tertiary stories that come out in order to obfuscate from what's actually going on. Me thinks that there's some corruption that we'll probably find out, not anytime soon. Just give it enough time, maybe once the old man dies. With that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.